Hello and welcome in. Happy Wednesday to all my 3M. I couldn't think of anything else that started with an M, but there's actually more than just the 3M this week. Mates, my 3M mates, my Live Golf UK chaps. There's a senior tour event. There's a Corn Ferry tour event. There's a lot going on. Whatever you want to talk about, this time is yours. The next hour or so to go through as many questions and concerns and comments about anything that you want. Drop in the chat right now and we will do the damn thing. What we will also start with is weather. We'll also start with the updated ownership selection rates so that we can kind of get that out of the way and avoid that question 500 or 600 times. So let's do just that. Blaine, Minnesota, and this is a pretty good weather station. It's the block next door to TPC Twin Cities. So we're getting a very solid location here. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, mid to upper 80s, sunny, a little bit of thunderstorm opportunities on Sunday. Hopefully that doesn't hurt the chances of this tournament finishing. There's the only precipitation in the forecast are those afternoon/evening thunderstorms on Sunday into Monday. So fingers crossed that we can either avoid those or they move back. They slow down, move back in time, or would that be forward in time? They move to a different day that it's not on Sunday. The other thing that's worth noting here, let me zoom out so you can see both of this at the same time. So here is the wind speeds. Oh, I should have logged into my wind finder. I forgot that I bought the subscription to that last week. Probably should have done that. Okay. Well, for any whoozin, the afternoon Thursday wave gets a little bit windier, 5 miles an hour to 9 miles an hour or so. Friday morning then kind of starts there as a baseline and cranks up into 12 or 13 miles an hour. So here are the options. Do you want your guys playing in 5 mile an hour and 13 mile an hour winds? So the lightest wind and the worst wind? Or do you want them essentially playing in the medium wind the entire time? I don't know. You can decide that. I would personally think, because I don't think 9 or 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, I don't think that is outrageous. When you start to getting into 13, 14 miles an hour, that's a club or two, that especially if it is a crosswind or quartering, that could be a little bit more difficult to figure out. I don't necessarily think that 6 to 8 miles an hour is that big a deal and something that they don't deal with every single day. And at least it would be consistent throughout their 2 rounds. So if you made me choose, I think that Thursday PM, Friday morning could be a bit more advantageous, just a bit. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but that would be the side that I would prefer. The one and done ownerships. Akshay Bhatia leads the way at about 20%. Tony Finau, whose course history here is insane, 17%. Cam Davis, 13. Billy Horschel, 12. Then there is a gap. That's the big 4. Sam Burns sits in a tier by himself at 7.5%. He then has a gap down to JT Poston, Sahith, Tom Hoagie, Keegan Bradley, Nick Dunlap, who are all between 3 and 5%. Yeah, pretty wide open. These are guys that you're probably not going to use anywhere else. So you can kind of just play your position here. I think that there are probably 50 guys that could conceivably win this golf tournament. So I don't think that you could really go wrong here. The only way that you could probably go wrong is if you are in the bottom 10% and you play Akshay, or if you're in the top 10% and you play Justin Rose, for example. I just think you could just play your position here. I don't think there's actually a lot of mistakes to be made name-wise as long as you're in the correct tier. All right, let's get into this. So we've got our first question here from a football nerd. Hey, Rick, last guys in, Streelman, Cam, Champ, Duncan. Can you do a quick deep dive on these 3 and see if any of them are viable? Well, why don't we just do it like this? Let's go to the cheat sheet. Everything you see, it will be from my website, rickrungood.com. Let's just compare these guys. So I probably should show this more often because this is something that I do for my process is I'll just filter golfers here and then compare them against one another, right? So you can see all the history or recent stuff and history together. So first off, none of these guys are playing particularly well. Cam Champ has missed 5 cuts and then finished T50 at the Barracuda. Tyler Duncan has missed 4 cuts in a row. Kevin Streelman missed his last cut, but at least had made the cut prior to that. But do you really care about someone who can, like, he's going to, if he finishes between T46 and T57, do you care about that? Did you even get anything out of that? So that's why I almost have to rule out. And all 3 of these guys are losing strokes to the field pretty significantly in the last 36 rounds. So I don't really like any of these guys, but if you made me choose, I rule out Kevin Streelman because I just don't want the middling. I want you to miss the cut or win the golf tournament. I don't want you to just middle this. I don't think there's any upside in that. Then Tyler Duncan doesn't really offer much of anything, and he's been the worst. So I guess by default, it's Cam Champ. I'm not happy with that at all. Past winner here, finished T16 in 2022. That's about all I can say. I don't like any of these guys, but if you made me pick, it would be Cam Champ. Afternoon, Rick. Hope all as well. Thank you. You as well. In this field, who would be the top birdie streak makers be? Oh, I don't know if I have that exactly, but if you go to fantasy data on the Holy Grail, you can see, DK fantasy, DK points gained, which is obviously going to include everything, birdies, finishing position. It's going to include birdie streaks. I would sort by that and then kind of look at some of the cheaper golfers. Those are the golfers that probably outpace their finishing position with points, right? So maybe they make 3 birdies and 3 bogeys, and that's even par, as opposed to a golfer who just makes 6 pars, right? So you're looking at somebody like Johnny Vegas. You're looking at somebody like Max Grazerman or Adam Hadwin, even Matt Kuchar, believe it or not, to an extent. How about Jake Knapp? Yeah, that makes that adds up. Guy who, look at this, just doesn't finish very well, but makes a ton of birdies, has eagle. I mean, he's made 4 eagles in his last 4 starts. So, or yeah, 3 starts. And then we don't have the full data from Barracuda because that's a weird event. So it's a whole thing. But Knapp would be probably an interesting one there. Knapp could be a pretty decent first round leader as well. High upside, birdie maker, probably get a pretty good number on him. Can we do a deep dive on Cam Davis? Sure. I see his great course history. His previous seasons show much better strokes gained metrics. Is Cam Davis worth playing? So I'm fairly high on Cam Davis this week. I'm not sure. Let's see what the industry says. Mike has him checking in at about 16% projected ownership. So that's fair, I suppose. I'm pretty high on Cam Davis. He won the Rocket Mortgage 2 starts ago. He finished T26 at the Scottish Open while having one of the worst putting events of his season. He did not have the burden of having to play the Open Championship. That comes with a lot of other stuff. And when you start talking about golf courses that are good for guys like Cam Davis, Rocket Mortgage, TPC Twin Cities, that would all be kind of in the same boat. T10, T16, T28, T12 in his last 4 years. I legitimately think Cam Davis could win this again. I know that sounds crazy because he's probably not going to win twice in his last 3 starts. That's very hard to do on the PGA Tour, but this is a really good spot, and his metrics have really started to turn around here. I've heard a lot of easy PGA National and a couple Vedanta comps. Ooh, I wonder why that would be. I guess PGA National would be water, and Mexico would be what? Easy to hit fairways. The problem is they don't necessarily go together. The unique nature of this golf course is that they are easy to hit fairways. You can see here, but when you miss them, because the water is there, there is a big penalty for missing the fairway, assuming it goes in the water, right? But you can see that statistically. This is from my newsletter. It's 100% free. I send it out every single week. If you were subscribed to it, you would have already known this. It's in this, links in the description. So I don't know if I love this is a fairly unique course. So I don't know about those 2 comps. Eric Van Rooyen, I will just pull up his profile because you asked so nicely, and we'll look at what he's been up to. So he was on a pretty good stretch here before he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. I don't necessarily care about missing cuts at major championships because it's kind of a completely different style of golf, unless we're talking about major championships here. He's gained with the putter pretty significantly in 4 out of his last 6, but that does not include the Scottish Open. Again, you can kind of forgive some short play deficiencies on a completely different style of golf course. So all the bad stuff that's happened to EVR in the last couple of weeks, I can forgive pretty quickly. I don't know if I necessarily even like those comps that you laid out, Josh, but just in a vacuum, I think EVR is pretty interesting. 3M Open representing for Minnesota, the state I grew up in, says Garrett. Can you please talk DFS ownership by range and favorite low owned pivots? Yeah, no worries. So this is, hold on, let me pull this bad boy up. Okay. So the 10K range is only 3 golfers. Tony Finau, 31%, Sahith, 28, Sam Burns, 23. So the question, I don't know if there's a pivot in that 10K range. The question is kind of like, do you want to have one of these guys or do you not? Do you just want to start in the 9K range? If you're trying to be a pivot guy in the 9K range, you can't play Akshay, I guess, because he's 30% owned. So it's really a big 4 at the top. Are you going to have one of those guys in your lineup, or are you going to go down to this 9K range? I don't have a problem starting below Akshay. I think there's a lot of really good options in the 7K range. The rest of that 9K range, Clanton and JT Poston are the 2 lower owned golfers that you could go with. I would much prefer Clanton in this situation. Poston's game just looks, I understand he has great course history. It just looks very bizarre and against his DNA. The 8K range, looks like Taylor Pendrith and Eric Van Rooyen, along with Maverick McNeely, are leading the way there. I would not mind if you went to, actually, I would encourage you to go to Nick Dunlap at 6%. So he is coming off of a victory. We've talked about him a lot. I don't think I need to relitigate the Nick Dunlap conversation. Chan Kim is catching 16% in the 7K range. That's one of the highest owned golfers there, along with Mac Meisner, who I do like, along with Doug Gim, and along with Ben Silverman. I like Chan Kim, and I get it, but I don't necessarily know if I need to be on a 17% owned Chan Kim when Michael Thorbjornsen, who could very well and probably is a much better player, is half that ownership. Sam Stevens, who finished T10 here last year and has put together a really good run of golf, is 7% owned. Harry Hall, who I'm a little bit cautious about because he's coming off the win, is 4.5%. I mean, there are a lot. Rico Hoey. There are a ton of really good pivots in the 7K range that, as much as I like Chan Kim and I understand it, I do not think you need to be a part of that because of how volatile this course can be and because of how many great options there are around him. There was a question about Doug Gim, so I'll just pull up. Actually, I want to do it here to make sure I keep my cheat sheet open. So I'll pull up Doug Gim's profile here, and I don't think it's going to be very pretty. It's not. It is unfortunately, it's basically his career baseline is what it is. It is a great ball striking, horrible putting profile. And that is what it was for all of his career. There was a stretch here, right about here, from summer of last year until the fall, where he figured out the putter a little bit and things really started to heat up. He had these, 3 top 20s in a row. He had basically 6 top, call it 25s in a row. That was really good. And that was right around this time last year. We are very far removed from his ability to do that. Oh, he also did it again. He also had another stretch like this at the beginning of 2024, where he gained a ton of strokes putting and piled up top 20s. That's not where he's at right now. It's just not. I would love to get your thoughts on Kevin Chappell. Chappie's not a name that we dive into too much here. Let's see. I'm on to cold brew right now. I like the Red Bulls, the no sugar ones, but we don't have any left. Barracuda Championship for Chappell, T17, in which he was pretty good throughout the bag. 5 from tee to green, 4.5 in the short game categories, which is usually where he's been doing a lot of his damage. He gained 7.6 putting at the ISCO. That is probably unsustainable, but it was nice to see him bounce back at the Barracuda. That's about the best I can say for this profile. I would be willing. He's only $6,300. So $6,300 for if you were to take either two of what he did the last 2 weeks in terms of his results, that's fair. So because the risk is pretty low, I think this is a buy spot. Because if you do get what he did at Barracuda, that's really good. And he's always going to putt well. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's call it like a B minus. That's interesting. Who do you like as the tournament winner? 3 choices. Akshay, Mac Meisner, and then Pearson Coody. And that takes you from like the top of the board to the bottom of the board, but don't bet what I bet. I also, before anybody asks, I also bet. So I do have those 3 on my card. I also have Cam Davis and I also have Rico Hoey. So my card is 18, 35, 55, 70, and 110 to 1. That's what I went with. All right, Chris, let's run a model. We are going to run a model for Chris. And he is saying, let's do 20% total driving, 20% on approach, 20% on par 3 scoring, 20 on scrambling, and 20 on bent grass putting. The only thing you don't have here is the number of rounds for these. So let's just do 36. So total driving. Okay. So we're going to go to driving, total driving for 20. We are going to do, I'm just going to do strokes gained approach last 36 for you here, Chris. Par 3 scoring. So that's hole types, 20. We are going to do scrambling. That's on under around the green. And then we are going to do putting on bent. Chris's model, wow, reveals the following. Tony Finau, number 1. Seamus Power, number 2. Lee Hodges, Billy Horschel, Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp does model well in a lot of these. Grayson Sigg, Troy Merritt, Keith Mitchell, Harry Hall, Maverick McNeely. That is Chris's model. Good luck. Hey, Rick, third in my one and done, Batia or Cam Davis. That is personal preference. They both have similar-ish. Well, I shouldn't say that because Cam Davis is probably twice as long. I was going to say similar-ish odds to win, but they're going to have similar ownership. I think highly of both of them. If you are third in your one and done, I think both are very viable. This is a personal preference call. I cannot decide that for you. This is okay. So Perry has Ludwig, Xander, JT, and Tom Kim for the playoffs. That's pretty darn good. So Finau, Burns, Davis for this week. Oh, yeah. You just play Tony Finau. Yeah, I don't know how else you could do anything else. I was talking about the playoffs yesterday. Who is going to be the Lucas Glover this year and make a late run of wins? Also thoughts on Shipley as a one and done pick over Tony because of travel. I like Shipley. I think taking him over Tony Finau just because the travel is a bridge too far. Tony Finau has been one of the best players in the world for the last 10 years. Neil Shipley, I believe, is very good, and I think he's going to have a good week, but that's a bridge too far for me. The question in regards to who is going to be this year's, it's a good question. I'm not even sure. So I'm looking at this field, but I'm trying to think of other guys who might be, the first name that popped into my head was Billy Horschel, and that's probably because he has done that before. He has made that run before. Could be Cam Davis. Now I'm just looking at this field, which I probably shouldn't be doing. Billy could be that guy. Who do you like better, Poston or Burns? This is for one and done. I think it's got to be Burns. I don't particularly like either of them, but it's got to be Burns, I think. Hey, Rick, favorite play, $6,300 or below. Okay. So 6,300 or below starts us off at like Smotherman. So we talked about Kevin Chappell already. I think that would kind of be interesting. God, these guys stink. These guys really stink. Man. Let's do it this way. Let's do it another way. For some reason, when you first asked that question, I thought I was going to get a $5,000 range. My brain was still wired thinking about that. There are only 4 guys in the $6,300 or below range that are gaining strokes to the field in the last 36. What about Russell Knox? He is min priced. He got in late, right? He either Monday. No, I don't think he Mondayed in. I think he was an alternate for somebody who WD'd. He's min priced. He's been playing on the Corn Ferry Tour. I do have the Corn Ferry strokes gained. So like T19 at the UNC Health, he's made 7 out of 9 cuts, something like that. He did play the ISCO and he played well there. He's clearly a shell of his former self, but that still might be better than some of these other guys. You know what? Dylan Fratelli's been playing globally, I believe. Let's look at his profile real quick. He was just playing somewhere. Where did I just see him? Was it Barracuda? No, it was one of these events. It was Scandinavia, I think. Boy, he did play well in Europe, but when he got back over here, it didn't go as well for him. That's a very tough range, $6,300 and below. Let's say Russell Knox, and let's see what this guy, Cooper Musselman, that's a name, has been up to. 31st at the ISCO, playing well-ish on the Corn Ferry, 29 years old from Louisville. Yeah, I mean, Chappell or Knox. Nolan's a member of the YouTube channel. So he gets to see some of the behind the scenes stuff that I put out from like events that I go to or trips that we go on. We actually, there's like 8 more videos that I have planned for the rest of the year. President's Cup. I don't want to give them all away, but President's Cup, Wyndham Championship. We're going to have one for next week because we're going. So I haven't said this at all yet, but we're flying out tomorrow afternoon for a little 5-year anniversary trip. Haven't even said where it is. Maybe you guys could guess. I don't know, but we'll have that. So if you're a member, you get access to that stuff amongst other things. So thank you very much, Nolan. It says, looking to fill out my lineup with a player on the 6K range. Could you do a deep dive on Andrew Putnam? Okay. So let's do a deep dive on Andrew Putnam. I'm sure he must have played this event before, right? Oh, wow. He has it. Oh, yes, he did. 2022, he finished T11. That's the last time he played it. He missed the 2 cuts prior to that. He gained 6 strokes putting in 2022. What is he up to right now? Wow, he's actually not putting well. So his last 3 starts have been 0, -2, -2. The Barracuda where wow. So this is so interesting because he is notoriously, and you can see it here, notoriously one of the best putters that we have on the PGA Tour and a very strong approach player. So the fact that he has lost strokes putting in 3 straight is very uncharacteristic, but he gained nearly 8.5 strokes on approach at Barracuda, which is a huge number. He's very accurate off the tee. This is a play. I'll tell you what, it's not bad, Nolan, because what you could conceivably see is a guy who does not drive it far, but will keep it dry this week. And then if we can get this 8 strokes gained on approach, God, he only hits at 275. That's unbelievable. And then turns back into his putting. Like there's a path here. There's a path to squeeze the juice out of Andrew Putnam. Hey John, yeah, what you could do is you could go to the Holy Grail and you could put in any number of courses that you wanted, right? For you could say PGA National, and you could say here, and you could say a variety of other places where water comes into play. A lot of Florida courses, honestly. There's flaws with that because how in play is water, right? Like, is it 1 yard off the fairway or is it 15 yards off the fairway? What's on the other side of the water? I'm up 10 million in a head-to-head one and done. David, you don't need my opinion. If you are up 10 million against one other person, you do not need my opinion. Are you concerned about jet lag from guys in Scotland last week? I'm concerned about my own flight or our own flight tomorrow. Am I concerned about no, I'm not concerned about those guys. I know like McNeely had trouble getting there, but he's been there. I know I saw all the Instagram reels or whatnot, the TikToks that guys were, I don't think it matters. They're professionals. They travel more than anybody, any normal people. I don't think that is a thing at all. What are your favorite plays in each tier on Splash? Oh, okay. So a couple of things here. Our listener league on Splash has been doing very well to the point where they continue to raise it. So the guarantee is now $7,000. There's only 50-ish spots left. Just another 6 just went. So this will fill soon. The other thing is they just updated the site. So now I have a channel. I don't know if you guys can see this. I think you can see it. Yeah. So I have a channel now. So you can follow me, which means that you can follow the contest. So you can see what's upcoming. You can see what's live, and you can see all the past contests, which is awesome because now we have this all in one spot. Now, if there are multiple contests running at once, I don't have to link them individually. I can just send you here and you can just go to my page and see all of this stuff and make sure you're not missing anything. So this is actually very, very handy for what we're trying to do. The other thing is they're already putting out the Survivor, the NFL Survivor. They have $1 million guaranteed. Is that right? Is that guaranteed? $1 million NFL Survivor. Is that guaranteed? Yeah, holy crap. $1 million guaranteed. Someone's going to win $1 million on Splash from $100 for an NFL Survivor. It looks that way. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Also, they just launched in Canada. So like there's a ton of stuff that's going on. Very, very good stuff. Links in the description. I cannot believe someone's going to win $1 million. I have
a question.
Yeah.
Is that one where you like put in something every week?
No.
Oh.
Armina said, do you have to put in something every week? The answer is no. You just have to get a pick right every week.
Oh, great. I'll do it.
So she said she's going to do it.
Do it every week.
So she's, oh, wait. So yeah, you do have to put something in every week, but not money.
That's too much work.
For $1 million, just too much work. Once you're out, you're out though. So like if you pick a team in week 1 and they lose, you're out. Just had to talk her into trying to win $1 million. So anyway, I'm not going to give you my favorite in each tier just because like that kind of defeats the purpose. And what are you going to do? Just put the same thing in as me. So what I'll do is I'll narrow it down for you here. So the way this works is you pick one golfer from each of these tiers. Tier 1, I think the options are Finau, Akshay, Sahith. If you wanted to get freaky, Tom Hoagie. For the purposes of this, I'm actually not going to see. I almost talked myself into that. Tier 2, I think the options are Stevens, Pendrith, Clanton, McNeely. That's the only places I'm going. Tier 3, I believe they are Chan Kim, Cam Davis, Gap, Ben Silverman, Gap, Andrew Putnam. Tier 4, Harry's risky. I think Meisner's the favorite. I wouldn't be upset if you wanted to go Andrew Novak or JJ Spawn. Tier 5, Dunlap and Vegas. A little bit of Ben Coles. Tier 6 is everybody else. So just like whoever else you like. There's a ton of guys there. I'll have to go back in and put that lineup in later because I don't want you guys finding out. Actually, I guess you can see who I put in already. What's the betting card look like this week? I already talked about it. Excuse me. Akshay, Cam Davis, Mac Meisner, Rico Hoey, Pearson Coody. You don't have to bet what I bet. In fact, I encourage you not to. Yes, I still use the core cascading, but I've been doing a little bit more of like some 150 max kind of research recently, and I still love the single entry so much. But yeah, I still do the core cascading. But I only do the core cascading in the 20 max entries. Who's your favorite play between 7,200 and 7,800? Okay. Sure. No problemo. So that would be, okay. Sam Davis. Wow. Sam Stevens. Mac Meisner. Rico Hoey. Neil Shipley. That is about it. How much is Sung-Yul No? He's definitely, I don't know if anybody's asked it yet, but like I've kind of warmed on Sung-Yul No a lot. Was that the dryer?
Yeah.
Okay. Something was beeping at me. Here's 6,700. So that does not fit the question from Nick. Yeah, T6 at the ISCO, T24 at the Barracuda. Played this here last year, made the cut the year before that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. I've answered a lot of those. Can we do a deep dive on JJ Spawn? Sure. He did not look too happy last week at the Barracuda, but I think he was kind of in it. Is that true? T29. Oh, he gained 7. Okay, this is good. So this is good. He's gained strokes ball striking very consistently. And the putter's starting to come around. This is a decent call here. Rocket Mortgage, he finished T10, T23 at the John Deere, 2 good cuts at the ISCO and the Barracuda. What's he done here before? Because this is a course that he should be able to plot around. Ugh, not very good. T66, miscut. Oh, that's disappointing because this could have been a very interesting option. Still interesting, but it does not elevate to the point of very interesting. He also does well in these weaker fields, as you can imagine. His best finishes are like Myrtle Beach, Rocket Mortgage, John Deere, ISCO, Barracuda, right? He's just kind of beating up on weaker fields. He gets into some of these more difficult fields and he gets his butt whooped. But otherwise, yeah, I could get behind JJ Spawn. Sorry, I was just reading these. Yo, Rick, should there be an end of season tournament where the major winners play for a bag? Ooh. I think it would be cool if the Tournament of Champions was, first off, still the Tournament of Champions, like you win and you're in, and then either that was the playoffs or they all played for something. And I understand they're doing it in January, but it's like a hit and giggle to start the year. I wonder what would it be like if you took the winners at the end of the year and said, hey, the 26 of you or 30 of you or whoever, like you're playing for the 18 million. And if you don't win, you don't get in. Like, sorry, play better. Right. I think that would be interesting. And also, I don't think it's cool that, so there's at least 2 guys, Gotterup, Nick Dunlap, who have won this year that are not currently in the playoffs, which is bonkers to me. So I don't know. I think that could be interesting. And he says, thanks for the patches. So if you are in the run and done, so the Rick Run Good one and done, you should be receiving in the mail some patches, some custom patches. I put mine on my golf bag, just a small token of appreciation. That's why I asked you for your shipping addresses when you signed up. So those are starting to find mailboxes now. In fact, Armina's came yesterday, so I know they're starting to find mailboxes for sure. Let's do that deep dive on Clanton because his numbers are fairly nuts, right? So he is hitting his approach numbers, or excuse me, his off the tee numbers are only 4 starts, but highly elite. We're talking 1.2-ish strokes gained per round, if not more. That's an insane number. He also strikes like second shot well, and he's a good putter. He stinks around the greens, but he'll get that figured out. I think he's incredibly talented. I think he's awesome. Also, while I'm thinking of Armina and all this other stuff, I want to enter the underdog portion of the show.
Woof, woof.
She woofed. There you go. Then she's going to put the thing up. Okay. Splash is going crazy with their updates, and they're all good updates. Underdog is going crazy with their updates, and they're all good updates. I'm getting so many, I'm getting emails from Splash like, hey, we just launched in Canada. I'm getting emails from Underdog. Hey, we just launched Streaks. Hey, the Pup Cup is up. Hey, I'm like, what? This is craziness. So quickly, my plan. So I loved the season-long best ball on Underdog. I made a massive mistake and got pretty wiped during, I think it was the Cognizant, where I didn't have anybody to play. Okay. And that was a mistake on my part. And it wiped, I think, most of my lineups. The really fun one was the Major Championship best ball. So that was 4 events, and you advance after each one. And if you get to the end, you win the big money. Now, while that's awesome, is it took all year. But the Pup Cup, this little trophy with this puppy flying out of it, is just the FedEx Cup playoffs. So it is just 3 events. Can I zoom out here? Here we go. Just 3 events. So if you draft teams, right? And if you can get out of the first week, FedEx St. Jude, you go to the semifinals, the BMW Championship. If you get through that, you get to the Tour Championship, and then that's where all the big money gets paid out. There is going to be, off of a $10 entry, there is going to be a $20,000 winner. Somebody wins 10,000, somebody wins 75. So it's best ball. It's basically season-long best ball crammed into just 3 weeks consecutively, which I think is absolutely sick. My goal is to make a video about this or a tool for this like we did for the season-long stuff, but I think you should go get in this right now. This is very cool. They've got either the slow drafts or the quick drafts. Additionally, I got this email, and I think this might only be on the mobile app for now. But they launched something called Streaks today, where you take entries. This is what I understand it to be. So you say, okay, I want to play for $1 or $5 or $10 or whatever. And the longer your streak goes on, the more you can make. So for example, I just did one for $1 because I wanted to see what it was. So I start with 2 picks. I picked Pendrith lower than 68.5 strokes, Sahith higher than 68 strokes. If both of those win, the way that I understand it is I can then go for leg number 3. And if that wins, then I can choose to go for leg number 4 and 5 and 6. What I don't know yet is, like, say these 2 win, am I going to be able to just like cash out? Am I going to be able to say, okay, I don't want to go any farther, or do I have to try to go for 10? I don't know the answer to that yet. But if you know anything about me, and I might have talked about this before, the streak thing is one of my favorite things ever. One of my favorite things I used to always do was the MLB beat the streak, where you'd pick a guy to get a hit every single night. And if they would, you'd go on, you'd try to break Joe DiMaggio's hit streak for prizes or whatever. I loved that. So this caught my attention as soon as they did it. I think it's only on the app for now. I don't see it on the web version. And if somebody knows the answer, let me know about how if I can like cash out or end my streak, or if I have to move on. But it's interesting. And then you only have to pick one at a time, I guess. After I get the first 2 right, I can only. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this and see how it goes for this week. Now, speaking of this week, there are props up. I already told you what I was thinking in terms of kind of trying to pick on Sahith a little bit. I think you could also conceivably, if you like that jet lag thing, or if you like where's Billy Horschel, right? Try to pick on I think Billy Horschel, not only is it a jet lag thing, it's an emotion thing. He did a Tuesday interview and looked exhausted, as he should be, right? As he should be. 68.5 strokes, I took the higher for Billy Horschel. You could also say, wow, Sam Burns, he's actually got a lower round 1 total, 68 strokes. He kind of coughed all over himself, vomited all over himself Sunday at the Open Championship. I'll take higher than that. And then you could get in on somebody like, like Patrick Rogers at 69. Patrick Rogers, lower than 69 strokes. He's a golfer that can get, he has the best skill set for 3M, right? Just he drives it well, get hot on approach, roll it in. That's a good spot for him. Cam Davis, I think you guys realize at this point, I'm very bullish on, right? 68.5 strokes. We're going lower than that. Those would be probably a good base to start with, those guys, and then kind of expand out from there, is making sure that we're only playing the 3, the 4, and the 5 leg standard entries. Those are the ones that you do not have to be as perfect on. Bullish on Pendrith, 68.5 strokes lower. Bullish on him to make a lot of birdies too. 4.5 birdies. You have to pay a little bit of juice on that, but I think that's the side that you do want to be on there. So there's a lot of really good options, and I think picking on some of these guys is interesting. What is swimming? Oh my gosh. Katie Ledecky, 400-meter freestyle. What is her? I think she's the best at the butterfly. No, she's the best at some of the longer ones. Is she going to finish worse than second? No, she's going to win. Absolutely not. Yeah, you want this side. She's going to finish first or second. Oh man, they're going to have Olympic props, aren't they? What the hell are the Heartfire and Carmen's crew? What is this? They're going to have they're going to have Olympics. Okay. There are absolutely going to be bad lines for the Olympics. Are they going to start, they're going to start hanging like figure skating lines? What is Olympic street skating? Oh, we're going to crush them in this. Okay. Well, I'm going to do my Olympic research on the plane tomorrow. We're going to get some good odds on this. Sorry, got distracted. Okay. Links in the description. There's a up to $250 deposit match right now. A lot of good stuff for all the partners. It's why we only partner with the best. We don't do anybody else. All right. Thank you very much. Rick is the code. Links in the description. Sorry, I got distracted there. This is a question about Andrew Novak. Let us remove that underdog thing. Thank you. And see what Andrew Novak is up to. I liked his game a couple of weeks ago. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, how do you not? T7 at the John Deere. Scottish Open was brutal. Again, I can write off a lot of the Scottish Open stuff. And he still made the cut and actually started off well, was bad over the last three. We're back on Andrew Novak. Get him back stateside. Let's go. Do you like Mav this week? Yes. So the problem is he's lost the swing. But he is like, when healthy, since the beginning of the year, he has been a flusher. I don't know what's happened in the last three. I don't know. To lose at least 3 strokes on approach in 3 straight, that's crazy to me with the trend that he was on. I would rather be early than late. I'll tell you that. At an event like this, I'd rather be in on McNeely and have him miss the cut again than be out on McNeely and have him finish T3. I think I'd rather be on the week early side. Oh, Kenny's here and he says, "Hey Rick, I see Mina Run Good is currently 10th in the one and done." She is. What? You don't want to jinx it? She's 10th. She was 12th last week and she had Adam Scott. And everybody got wiped last week. And Adam moving up would have been huge. He did okay. So moved her up to 10th. Who are we picking this week? Wow. She's officially declared she is not saying. She is now at the point of the year where it's too important and too critical for her to give us up a pick.
I'll give you a pick.
Oh, she'll give us a pick, but she will not tell us who she's using in that one and done. Okay, that's fair. Who's your pick?
Give me Russell Henley.
She said Russell Henley.
I'm sorry, I meant
Who's
Keegan. I'm sorry.
Not in the field.
Wait, no. Yeah, I meant Keegan.
Then she said, I mean Keegan. So things are going splendid over here. Now, how often does the person that you pick not end up in that one and done?
They never do.
Oh, they never do, she said. Okay. She said Keegan. Okay. Rick, got any plans for Greensboro next week? Whoop, whoop. Yes. I'm getting into town on the 2nd, which I think is Tuesday. And I'm leaving the following Tuesday. So it's going to be Rick Run Greensboro, baby. And I'm open to all recommendations. Actually, I do have a lot of so I have golf covered. I don't need any golf recommendations unless you're going to get me onto a private club. I know that sounds wonky, but that's kind of the truth. I've got 3 really good spots picked out. So unless you can beat those, there's no point.
You're getting in on the 6th.
I'm getting in on the 6th. Tuesday to Tuesday, I think it is.
Yeah, and you're leaving on the 13th.
Yeah, Tuesday to Tuesday. Yeah, it's not next week, Mike. It's the week after. Next week is the Olympics. So it's the 6th to the 13th. So yes, I'll be in town. I've never seen Sedgefield. I'm looking forward to it. I will have so the plan is probably Tuesday I'll go to the golf course so that on Wednesday for the live chat I can have a lot of information for you and then play golf and all that stuff. I will take some, if you want to email me some restaurants or places to go or things to see or anything like that, I'm up for that. Thank you very much. Any liking in Pendrith, Hoagie, and Poston? Pendrith, yes. Poston, no. Let's look at Hoagie. In theory, this should be a decent spot for him. No? Accurate, ball striking, but he's really struggled with the putter. Look at this run here where he gained 9 out of 10 with the putter and in a significant way. Now he's lost 4 out of 6. I can forgive losing 7 strokes at the Open Championship. I can. I can't forgive all of these though. So I'm lukewarm. Not without concern. I mean, T4, T20 the last 2 years. It is not without concern. But I'm mildly bullish on Tom Hoagie. This says Cootie as a sleeper. Yes. Just make sure that it's Pearson and not Parker. Is this a good event to bet a long shot at? Yes. I mean, think about who's won here. Cam Champ, Michael Thompson. I'm blanking on everybody else, but Matthew Wolff probably wouldn't have been a long shot, although it was only like his 6th start. I don't know what his odds were at that point. Yeah, I think it's Pearson Cootie. I think it's Rico Hoey. I think guys of that ilk are probably in there. Hey, Rick, heard on PGA radio broadcast, Shipley has a master's in data analytics from the Ohio State. Does that make him your new favorite golfer? I did not know that. Is that true? I might have to, what's his name? Isn't his name Nate Shipley or Nick? Neil Shipley. Oh, I guess I should learn his name first. Why did I think it was Nate Shipley? Should I get in touch with him? Should I do that? Should we collab? Rick run ship? Rick ship good? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did not know that. I'll have to reach out to him. We've talked about Tony a lot. We have talked about Clanton a lot. I talked about best ball a little bit. Do you sell any Rick Run Good t-shirts? No. We are in hiatus right now. So we used to have a shop and it was fine. We kind of were losing money on it, which is not really it's fine because we don't need to make money on it, but want to give people a chance to, like, if you want, you could buy something. But I think we kind of got out of our skis a little bit. So we're in hiatus. I think at some point in the future, Armina, I'm sure, is giving me the stink eye right now, but I think at some point there will be some things that come back, but that is down the road. Rick, are you going to the President's Cup? Oh, indeed I am. Make a reservation now for Au Pied du Cochon and or Joe Beef. There's the 2 most opposite ends of the spectrum restaurant names. Okay. Thank you, Vincent. I will do that. Yes, I will be at Wyndham, President's Cup. Probably that Utah event in the fall. Vegas, Shriners. I feel like I'm missing something else, but that's kind of the next schedule here. Okay. In the money of a 25-person one and done, I have Fleetwood, Adam Scott, Bez, Noren, and Billy left. Well, all those guys, no, not all those guys are playing this week. Oh, okay. That's you for the rest of the year. Yeah, you got to use Billy. It stinks though, man. I think there's a chance he misses the cut, but yes, you have to use him. This is Armina's whole thing. So it says, hey, Rick, I think to be correct, the background colors on projected ownership should be reversed. Okay. You have no idea how much time we have spent discussing this. Armina adamantly agrees with you. So right now, if you're not watching on YouTube, Tony Finau, 31.5% dark green. JT Poston, 11.6%, kind of pink. You get down to the 2 and 3% range, it's red. Armina's point is, and I think that's what this point is that she thinks green means better. So if something is better, it is a lower ownership. However, I would argue that might not always be better. What if you're playing a head-to-head matchup and you want high ownership or something like that? I don't want to dictate what you think is better. The other thing is, so the way that I then pitched this is I said, no. It's not better or worse. We're not going to call it better or worse. The higher number is going to be green. So that means 1 strokes gained is green, 30 is green, -1 is red, 10 is red. Just higher, lower. That's all we're going to do. And then Armina said, well, what about finishing positions? Because in that case, 1 is green. And I said, higher on the leaderboard. So it still makes sense. Green is higher, red is lower. We have spent hours debating this. Okay. That is all.
But I'm not crazy.
Hey, Rick, Mac Meisner or Chan Kim for DFS? I like Meisner. Need to know what song Mina was jamming to in her story last night. Yeah, so that was from a couple of nights ago, but she posted it last night. Can I tell them? Can I say that? Yeah. Okay, because you said if you know, you know. So that's a Persian song by an artist named Salsi. It's called Gentleman. It's like it's the bop of all bops right now. And apparently has been for a while because we play it nonstop. That's the song that she was like.
Started playing it at our wedding 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so we started playing it at our wedding 5 years ago. So it's been the bop for the last 5 years. No, I do not have any concerns. The only guy I'm really concerned about is kind of Billy Horschel. To be in a very emotional, crying, huge moment with as much energy as he expends, then go back 8 time zones and try to start again. And he looks, I mean, I'm telling you, I saw the interview he did on Tuesday. He looked exhausted, and he should be. The dude should take a week off. He's really the only guy I'm worried about, which means he probably wins, but he's really the only guy I'm worried about. The other guys, either they missed the cut or they weren't necessarily in it. I guess you could argue Sam Burns, who had to start the final round, T2, but he played like crap. So I don't know. I think Horschel's like the only guy I'm worried about. Is Hoey a legit top 10 finisher? I think he is now, right? Look at what he's done recently. He was in that playoff at the ISCO with Harry Hall, finished T8 at the Barracuda, finished T6 at the Rocket Mortgage. So we've got 3 top 10s in his last 2. Like, yes. And of course, look at what he's done with the metrics here. The ball striking is nuts, and the putter has turned itself around. He's a very, very talented guy. And now the results are starting to show it. Bo Hosley or Chan Kim or Neil Shipley for DFS. What's Neil's? Excuse me for 1 second. I know what ownership Chan Kim's going to have. Shipley's going to have about 1/3 of that. I think we go Shipley here. Can we do a deep dive on Pearson Cootie? Yeah. So he was, again, in that playoff at the ISCO. It was him, Hoey, and Harry Hall. He's got a couple. He hasn't missed a cut since the Byron Nelson. He finished T30 at the John Deere, as a T5 at the Charles Schwab. It is not good what he does on approach, but he drives it beautifully and he puts the lights out, where he is able to overcome a lot of deficiencies. I just think he's a talented kid. I think he's the better Cootie brother. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but nah, he's quite good. Okay. I'm towards the end of the question, so let me go back and make sure I haven't missed anything. I do want to do this deep dive on Max Grazerman. Somebody did ask about that. So I will go back and look at that, and I will go through Austin Eckroat. Max has been awesome, right? So he made the cut at the US Open, T21, and then has not finished worse than 31st since then. 3 straight top 25s that have all gotten better. Drives it like a machine. Tee to green is very good. Has gained with the putter in 7 out of 8. Yeah, what's not to like about this? Actually, I'm going to star him. Max Grazerman, fire it up, young man. Austin Eckroat. Let's look at Austin. Yikes. The finishes aren't bad. especially since the win. The finishes aren't bad. They are getting worse, and the metrics are kind of getting worse as well. He's never been a good putter, but now he's also giving it up around the greens too. And still hitting it well. This is starting to get a little troublesome for me. Might be hitting a wall, right? It's played a lot of golf at this point in the year. Might be hitting a little bit of a wall here. Will we ever see Mina on camera? No, she's shy. I don't know. She's on the vlogs all the time. She's like the star of the show on the vlogs. She used to do the podcast. Sometimes she would do the podcast too. When we were doing podcasts in studio. Feels like forever ago. Oh, interesting. Yeah, if you want to modify your like I when I did that core cascading thing, 5 or 6 years ago, I never really meant it to be like a system. It was just kind of showing what I did. So, I never thought about like hard and fast rules to it. But yeah, I mean, I would encourage you to modify it into what makes the most sense. And also, I guess if you lock in one golfer, you are going to get access to more other combinations of players, which could be interesting. Could lock in 2 golfers. It's Josh Allen. Yeah, that one, the one who plays quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, says, how's life? Life's very good. No, we are. Listen, I think I get to do this for a living, which is nuts and exciting and awesome. We have got some really cool things planned for the rest of the year. Travel wise and going to events. And, I think we've done a really good job in 2024 more than ever of lumping in golf with like extending it a couple of days and doing a personal trip, which I think is really nice. And we've got everything kind of in place now. And I don't know, it's just, everything feels good. So yeah, everything's all good over here. Hope everything's all good with you. All right. I think we're going to stop it there. I've got to go pack and do some laundry and all that fun stuff. I will be on CBS Sports HQ tonight. I think it's going to be live 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you're around, go sign up for Underdog and Splash. That Splash contest is probably going to fill fairly soon. I've got to get my last entry in. But yeah, I'm wishing you guys all the best. Talk to you soon.